Welcome to the God, Money, and Purpose podcast. My name is Raul Villacis, and I'm here with my beautiful co-host,
Vivian Villacis.
All right, and today we have some tips to de-stress from this situation. It looks like the whole country is going through a whole couple of days of being under pressure, under stress.
You could totally feel like just the anxiety that, it's like collectively how we feel it, right? And not only collectively, but even in our household, how much we feel it. And it has a lot to do with...
Everybody can relate. Everybody can relate. The election has put every single one of us under stress. Yes. So in this podcast, we're going to give you a couple of tips on how to deal with stress in the house. So first of all, if you're watching this through YouTube, thank you. Subscribe. Yep. Make sure you comment. Make sure that you give us some feedback. If you're watching this through Facebook, just comment and let us know where you're watching us from, because we do this podcast through Facebook Live, and we love to interact and answer some questions. But I know in the past couple of days, I've been getting bombarded with some questions from some of my guys who are under a lot of pressure. The election is definitely putting every single one of us at an all-time stress level. So I want to share some of the insights that I'm sharing with my guys, and then you can share some of the insights you're sharing with your girls.
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of the times, I don't know if we can't say it's good or bad. However you deal with it at home, it's all up to you. But for me, like I kind of just unplugged myself from even watching. I watched a debate. I started to a couple of days back, and it was like, oh, I can't even deal with it. Like it's just way too much. So I don't even like feed into it. Meaning I don't turn on the TV. I'm on social media, but I've been just so busy that I don't even like have the time to deal with it. And I don't know.
I think that's one of the ways to start looking at it. Like, stop consuming the information that triggers you to the point that, it brings down your energy. And I think that's to your point is like, we're in the middle of this election, and hopefully by the time this airs out next week on the podcast, we know who the president is. But even if things don't go the way that you plan it, one of the things that I tell my clients is stop arguing with reality. Like, the reason that we stressed out, the number one cause of stress is because we argue with reality. We want things to be different than the current reality. So it may not be what you want, but it's what you are going to get right now. Yes. And the first step on that is just taking ownership, realizing that it doesn't matter who's in the White House. What matters is who is in your house.
Yeah.
Who's running your house. The previous to the election, my little girl, Abigail, comes down to our bedroom the night before the election. And she goes, Dad, I'm worried. I'm worried what could happen because I'm watching all these things on social media, all the riots that could happen, all the things that could go wrong. And I told her, I said, you know what? What's going to happen is going to happen. And we can't control what people do or people say, but we can control how we feel about the situation.
So then that was the thing with me. Like, as I'm watching this stuff, it's not necessarily like because whoever's going to come, the new president or whatever it is, it's like, it's the way that we react to things. And I think that's the challenge for me, is like, humanity where it stands right now, like that's the part that hurts me the most, because it's like, you see these people rioting, and somebody was saying like in New York City they boarded up businesses and all this stuff because of like all the stuff that's happening while
preventing of what could happen
while these elections are happening. And I'm thinking, like, does it need to go to that end? Like, do you need to, as human beings, do we need to really step over those boundaries of like, hurting someone else or just rioting or doing all these things? Like, that's not necessary. Like, what point do you prove doing that? I think it just brings more chaos into everything that's happening. So I know that, whatever happens is going to happen. It's, like if you casted your vote, great. At least you had your voice, like you were heard. Then you cannot complain about it because at least you did something about it. But it's just, the way that people react to things, I think it's totally out of hand. And that's the part that we need to bring a little bit of awareness as to like, okay, where is that emotional intelligence that we talk about? Where is that, like, that part of respect and love? If not for the president, if not for our vice president, whoever it is in the White House, as a human being, like, are we really doing something about it? And I think that's the part that I try to tell the woman when we're talking, it's like, and just going back to like God and the things that we were talking with my son, is so funny because we were saying like, how do we respect the people that we hate? And that's the hardest part, because you may not agree with everything one person says, whether it's blue or the red Democrats, right? Or the president. But it's like, do you respect them as human beings? And that's the part that I think we've come away from. And that's what's bringing more chaos into all of this.
And that's where we have to understand that even though the country might be divided, we have more things in common than what we think. Like we all want the same thing. We want things better for our families. We want things better for our business. We want to have a better future. So we all agree on the same things that we want. It's how we're going to get them may be different. But at the end of the day, this is one nation. It's just is one unit, and whoever is in the White House, that's who we have to respect, and that's it. Like we can't constantly argue against reality, and one way to start looking at this situation is asking yourself, like, what is it that you can control? Because we focus on all the things we can't control, and if you focus on the things you control the way that you react, you control the things that you say, you control the energy that you exude, and at the end of the day, one of the things that I said to my clients is certainty is a new currency. Right now, and where we are. There's so much uncertainty, so much chaos that the man with the most certainty, the leader that's going to step up in the business and in the family, is going to be able to keep things at a certain level that doesn't get out of hand.
And I would say that's so well said, because the uncertainty that you start to feel like from what's happening in the political universe, right? Then you bring that home. And I think that's what's bringing this uncertainty. It's what's bringing this fights. It's what's bringing the chaos in your own nuclear, family nucleus. And that's not healthy, because like I see that with our little girl, like she's so passionate about what she believes in. And I love that, like who she stands for, and she loves Biden. Like that's her thing, right? And she comes to us and she's like giving us this points and
she's passionate.
She's so good
passionate.
about it. And I love that. But at the same time, it's like we hold the space for her to talk about it, and respectfully, like we listen to her, but we also don't allow that to actually like have a negative effect on the way that we feel or the way that we talk to each other. So I think that's one of the things that we're seeing now is like all of this, and maybe not necessarily just this, but anything else that happens, don't allow that outside source, whatever it is, to actually infect and everything that you are inside your house, because then that's when the problems start. And I was listening to one of my friends. She was on a Facebook Live, and she talks a lot to the kids and to the families. And she was saying like, what is something beautiful that you could say to your kids or to your husband in the morning? And I was thinking like nowadays with all this anxiety, all this chaos, we're so focused on what's happening out there that we're not focused on how we interact with the people that you love.
And here's the thing, the kids are consuming this information through adults. Yeah. So like one of the things that I saw with Abigail and her friends is that they're consuming all this information and they're arguing against each other, who supports who, and there is division between friends. And
I'm going to follow you, and I'm not going to talk to you.
That's the thing. How do we get from these kids who can't even vote, right? And now they're taking so much sides in politics, and now they're defriending each other because they used to be friends, and now because this person supports this other candidate and this person supports the other candidate, now they're no longer friends. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you guys are kids. Yeah. Like at this moment, like they start looking at who you are instead of what the media is portraying you, and that's what the division and that's one of the things that I tell my kids. I said, we're not perfect. This family is not perfect. We have arguments all the time. Like we, just like I'm assuming that's what happens in every single family right now. Every table becomes a political discussion. Yes. But at the end of the day, we have to remember, we said this when we went to dinner, like no matter what they think, no matter what they say, we have to come back to the core as a family. We're one unit. Yes. And one of the things that you told my son and Abigail, you said to them, like, there's nothing that you could do that is not going to stop me from loving you. And I think that if we have that base, I said, listen, you may agree with the candidate or may not agree, but at the end, I love you. Yeah. And I'm here for you, because the worst thing is for you to have that energy of animosity against each other, when the reality is we live in the same fucking country. That's right. We want the same fucking thing.
We all want good things for our families, for ourselves. I think, like you said, it's like the way that it comes is going to be totally different. But here's the thing, like we've been having some heated conversations, and at the same time, I tell them, I'm like, we could agree sometimes to disagree. And I love that, because it's like everybody has their own opinion, and it doesn't mean that it's right or that it's wrong. It's your opinion. And if you want to voice it, some people are just, just have a bigger voice or a louder voice, I would say, than others. Like I see it with my Abigail. And I love that and I respect that. So I think a lot of this problems or the situations come that I see now is when somebody else tries to overpower that voice and make it wrong
or make
it wrong. So it's like, can we just have like and we love to have this, and we tell our kids this all the time. Like when we sit down in our household, it's like, it's a debate. There should totally be in like a debate club. But can we learn to actually hear what the other person's saying, right? And then actually have this sense of like, okay, well, I respect what you're saying. I may not agree with it, but I respect it. And I think that's the part that we're losing. That's the part that gets me the most, is that when two people are having debates or conversations, we don't respect each other's ideas. We don't respect each other's voice. So it's like, can we just have a little bit of that sprinkled on top of any conversation? And I think it'll go further.
Yeah, so the point number 2. So the first one is start with your reality. The second one is that don't rely on your own happiness by somebody else making you happy. So,
I love that.
So the moment I like, listen, I respect your opinion, but you're not responsible for my happiness.
That's right.
So whatever you think about the world is not really going to affect my happiness, because I'm responsible for my own happiness.
Yeah.
I think a lot of things that are clashing right now is because I want you to validate what I'm saying and what I'm feeling so I could be happy.
Yeah.
So if you agree with me, then I'm right. Then okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Because that's what we, as human beings, we're tribal people. So we want everybody to be in our tribe. We want people to agree with us. So we want to have. But right now, as you can see, 50% of the country thinks the other 50% is wrong, right?
Yes.
So when you are in a situation like this, it's like, all right, I agree with your point of view, and I have my point of view, but at the end of the day, it doesn't stop us from, hey, we live in the same fucking country. We want the same thing.
Or we live in the same household.
Let's continue to love each other. Let's continue to do what I'm came here to do, which is to progress.
Yes. And with all of this tension, with all of this, that's building up, like I tell my queens, it's like, allow that emotion to actually be felt, because if something that I love to say to them is like, if you don't feel it, you just can't heal it, right? It cannot be healed. So like I tell them, like, feel the emotion. And I think a lot of the times that I did a post about this, or maybe I'm thinking about this post, I'm not sure. It, like the anger and the anxiety, all of that stuff, it's not pretty, but it has to be felt. And it has to be felt on your own terms, not somebody else doesn't need to feel it. Like all my anxiety of what's happening out there, like I shouldn't bring it on to you. I ask them to actually feel it for themselves in a safe place, in a place where like they could feel like they could truly just let go. Because if we hold all this tension in our bodies, that's what continues to, makes us sick. It just continues to build up. It continues to like just get just bigger and bigger and bigger. So I think for me, I would say like number 3 is just totally feel whatever is happening for yourself, in your household, even collectively. Like if you have the capacity to do that, like go ahead and feel that and just be with the feeling and let it go. Because it doesn't serve you.
We are addicted to feel good, to feeling good. I think that's where I think the challenge is right now, when like you wanted things to happen a certain way and it doesn't happen, so you feel bad. And we are addicted to feel good. And we think that life is supposed to be just a feel good. And the reality is that life is here to punch you in the fucking face. And the moment that life punches you in the face, okay, it doesn't feel good.
You don't always feel good.
Feel it.
Yep.
Feel the pain. Do something with it. Because at the end of the day, whatever happens is shaping your life.
Right.
So we just had this boot camp last week, right before the election. We had a boot camp. Yeah. And it's amazing when these men come to the program. They come to the event, right? And everybody, you could see the shift. At the beginning, everybody's wearing their version of themselves who they think they should be. Yeah. Like, I'm the CEO of this company, or I'm the owner of this company. Everybody has their masks,
you wear a title and
then we all have this title, right? Or I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, I have all this shit, right?
Yeah.
So the first day when they come, what I do is I strip them from their identity. Like everybody is like, we stripped them from the identity. So to the point that they all wear the same shirt, the next level t-shirt, right?
Yeah.
So the moment that they all realize that, look, I don't care what I believe in, like we are part of the same team.
Yeah.
So within 3.5 days, all these men that had different opinions, different races, different ideologies, at the end of the 3.5 days, they realize that they have more things in common than they have more things apart. And they were able to create a true brotherhood, a true connection, because they realize like, shit, like, the titles, the beliefs that we have, and the masks that we wear, and the armor that we wear is what hinders us from actually having the blessing of having deeper connections. Because all we want at the end is to connect.
That's right.
And the fourth thing that I will add to it is like the moment that you start feeling the pain and feeling that, allow that to start shedding away that ego, that idea, that armor of who the fuck you think you need to be.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if like I see people, and I had a conversation yesterday with a guy who applied for the program. He said, Raul, I'm thinking of getting divorced because my wife supports the other candidate. I said, you fucking kidding me? Like now you're going to the extremes that
like if you can't handle
that, you can't handle this shit. Like you shouldn't even like
something else.
Like there's employees right now arguing with employers because they support different things. Like
and I get that. Like you believe and you stand for something, but at the same time, like is that really necessary? Like that's the ultimate extreme to like. Really, like you're gonna walk away from someone that you love,
that you have kids with because of political situations,
and then it just has to do with like you don't see me, you don't hear me, and that's the part. Like again, we go back and it's like, could you give that person the respect and the space to actually have a conversation, have like this deep, heated conversation, and then okay, I get it, I listened, and then it's done. It's like, do you need something else? So yeah, I think. You know, there's so much going on, but if we get caught up into all this drama, because that's another thing that we're addicted to. We're also addicted to drama. We could be addicted to feeling good. We could be addicted to drama. So if we get off the boat and being either one and actually feeling whatever it is that you're feeling fully, and then just let it go. Like, don't argue with reality. That's just.
So don't argue with reality. Like, own your own happiness.
Yeah. Don't depend on someone else to give you your happiness.
Protect your energy by feeling the pain, but at the same time using the pain to give you the opportunity to shed away the ego.
That's right.
And the fourth, which is always the best one, is have a physical way to take the stress out and either work out. Yeah. And my favorite was have sex. like if you're going through a situation right now that you're stressed out, watching the TV, watching the polls, just have sex, and then actually. We start looking at it like that's as so men. Funny. We want to have sex, and all the problems will go away at least at that moment.
Somebody said right on.
Because that's what it takes. It takes for us to realize that, things matter to the point that when you realize that there's deeper problems, like right there when we had the problem with our daughter that she was afraid of what could happen. Yeah. Then we got the news that one of our cousins got COVID, and she was in a house the day before. Yeah. And then all of a sudden the problem from the election went away. But the problem from COVID came in the household. And it's always going to be something.
Yeah, it's always going to be something. But it's like, do you let that something dictate the way that how you operate at home, how you operate in your own life? And I think that's the part that we're just so exposed to everything that is happening. It's like we just fall for everything. And you have to learn to actually, and that's what I tell my queens. It's like, you have to remember who you are. You have to remember, like, who God made in you, so you don't forget, so you don't fall for everything and everyone. It's like, and that comes from a place of love, respect, intuition. Like it just comes together, and it's just a beautiful place to be. And I know there's a lot of shit going on.
It takes work. It takes work. Listen, you are in control of your thoughts. You're not your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions. You're in control of what you focus on the most.
Right. I love that.
And if right now you're feeling triggered about what's going on in this country, just know that we have more things in common than we have things apart. And your family is your main priority. Yep. Doesn't matter who's in the White House. What matters is who is running your house. Because at the end of the day, no president is going to come save you. You have to save yourself. You have to operate on your own capacity. Yeah. You have to get shit done. And you can't wait until the government takes care of you. You can't wait until somebody takes care of you. Fucking lead. And I think that's what we need to take ownership and start leading. And every single one of us as Americans come together and unite and stand as one nation, one God. And let's get this shit going, because 2020 has kicked every single one in the balls. Now it's time for us to level up and take the pain. And take the pain and know that everything that happens for a reason. So let's give a shout out to a couple of people.
That's so funny. Matthew Garner, you are hilarious. He said, yes, sex is the answer to all things. Yes, Raul, porcupine pokers. Oh my gosh. Listen, I'm so vulnerable to be out here with you guys, sharing our heart.
Awesome. We got Scarlett, Kenneth, Matt Garner, Eric, Greg Johnson. Thank you, brothers. Appreciate it. We got Robert Aguilar too, watching this. Great topic. Yep. Just make sure that to deal with the stress, you can't take shit too serious. Even though as serious as it is, which is the most powerful job in the world, like who's running your house? Who's operating your house? Who's running your mind? Don't let whatever's going on right now in the world take away from your purpose, from your drive, from your vision.
That's right.
And focus on the things that you can control and let go. Take a deep breath. Go meditate. Go take a walk. Go work out. Have sex. Do whatever you need to do. But stop focusing on the negative shit that's going on.
I love it. Let go and let God.
That's it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, everywhere.
Anywhere.
Except for our bedroom. That's where we keep it private. Learn it.
Live it. Experience it. Love life.
If you receive any value from this conversation, comment, subscribe, and share as we continue to impact more people and take it to the next level.
And please send us your comments and questions so we could answer them in the next podcast.
See you in the next episode.